There's something I've never told anyone, not even the people closest to me. It's not one story, really. It's a series of things that happened throughout my life that I've always tried to convince myself weren't connected. But lately, I'm not so sure. It started when I was 7. Back then, there was this small amusement park near my town that ran an annual event called Pumpkin Land. It happened every year on the Saturday before Halloween. Families would come in costumes. Candy was handed out between rides, and before leaving, kids got to pick pumpkins scattered around the park. It was the kind of thing kids looked forward to all year. That year, my parents took me and my 2 brothers after my soccer game. I went in one of those cheap screen costumes, mask, plastic knife, the works. I remember feeling proud of it. The first thing my brothers wanted to do was the haunted house ride. It only seated 4 people per car, so my mom went with them, and I stayed behind with my dad to take the next one. But while waiting in line, I started to get cold feet. I told my dad I needed to use the bathroom. He sighed, laughed it off, and said he'd come with me. We both went into the men's room, but I finished first, so I waited outside. At first, it was fine crowds of people walking by, music playing from the carousel. But after a while, my dad didn't come out. I peeked back into the bathroom. Empty stalls, no sign of him. That's when I started to panic. I was 7, lost in a sea of strangers. I remember fighting the urge to cry when a man came up to me. He was tall, wearing a brown jacket, maybe in his 40s. He asked where my parents were. I told him I couldn't find my dad and asked if he could help. He smiled, said, "Of course, buddy. Let's go find him." Then he took my hand tight. He pulled out one of those old Nokia phones and started talking to someone. "Yeah, I'm with him right now," he said, looking right at me. "Okay, got it." Then he hung up. He looked down and said, "That was your dad. He's waiting by the parking lot." Even at 7, something didn't add up. My dad didn't own a cell phone, and how would this guy even know who I was? I was wearing a full mask. He started leading me toward the front gate. I tried to pull my hand away, but his grip just got tighter. Then, out of pure desperation, I started calling out, "Excuse me, excuse me," until a woman in an employee uniform looked over. I said, "I don't know him. Please help." The guy immediately backed off, saying he did know my dad, that it was a misunderstanding. The employee didn't buy it. She brought me behind the booth, told me to stay there, and called for security. The man walked away fast, disappearing into the parking lot before anyone could stop him. My dad showed up minutes later, pale and sweating. He'd just been in a long line for the haunted house restroom. He hadn't seen me come back. When the employee told him what happened, I thought he was going to punch through the wall. We never saw the man again. The park didn't have cameras back then. I was too young to grasp what could have happened. But now, as an adult, I think about it way too often. The next time something strange happened was years later. I was 19. My mom had remarried, and when she and my stepdad went on their honeymoon, they sent me to my Uncle Ronnie's farm for the week. He lived with my Aunt Susie and my cousin Ronnie Jr. Their house sat in the middle of open land, acres of corn, tall grass, and old wooden fences. My room overlooked the fields, and from the window, I could see 3 scarecrows spaced evenly across the crops. They were oddly human-looking, wearing old clothes and straw hats, arms stretched wide. That week, my uncle was harvesting corn by hand, and I helped. I remember asking how long it took to make those scarecrows. He said, "A few hours, maybe," and laughed. "They keep the crows away better than any machine." That night, my cousin and I played video games, smoked a little, and I went to bed late. I was scrolling on my laptop when something hit the window, a small thunk, like a rock dot. At first, I ignored it, but then another hit, harder this time. My stomach turned. Someone was throwing rocks intentionally. I shut my laptop, plunging the room into darkness. Then I waited. When nothing happened for about a minute, I slowly got up and peeked through the blinds. The moon was bright enough to light up the field, and I could see one of the scarecrows clearly, except its arm was moving. It waved, slow, side to side. I froze. I thought maybe I was just high, hallucinating. But then, its arm dropped, limp, like it had been holding that position for too long. I backed away from the window and went straight to my cousin's room. But he was asleep. My aunt and uncle were out cold too. I went back upstairs, forced myself to peek one more time, and the scarecrow was still in place. The same exact position. I told myself I imagined it and finally passed out. The next morning, my uncle came storming inside, red-faced. Where the hell did my scarecrows go? All three were gone. I told them what I saw, though I felt stupid doing it. My uncle assumed kids had stolen them for a prank. That night, we locked all the doors, and everyone went to bed uneasy. Then, around 2 a.m., the doorbell started ringing over and over. I heard my uncle shouting downstairs, followed by my cousin. I ran down after them. When my uncle opened the door, the three scarecrows were standing right there on the porch. Each one had red paint, smeared all over it, thick streaks across their shirts, arms, faces. My aunt screamed. My uncle cursed and called the cops. They said it was probably a Halloween prank, but I couldn't stop thinking about the waving arm, the timing, the way it felt like whoever had done this knew I'd been watching that night. I didn't think about it again for years. Then, last November, my girlfriend and I went camping near her dad's upstate property. The place was perfect, isolated, surrounded by trees that burned gold and orange in the fall light. We set up camp in a small clearing and built a fire. We ate, talked, laughed. It was one of those nights that felt safe, comfortable. But later, as we sat by the fire, we started hearing leaves crunching nearby. At first, I figured it was just deer, but the footsteps were heavy, slow, measured, like someone walking on two legs. They got closer. My girlfriend went silent. I could see the fear in her face. Then the footsteps stopped right outside the glow of the fire. We both looked at each other, waiting for whoever it was to speak. No one did. Then the chair across from us creaked, the one we'd left empty, like someone had just sat down. I leaned forward, squinting through the smoke and firelight. Nothing there, just the chairs. But when I crawled into the tent to check on my girlfriend, she whispered, "What does he want?" "What?" I asked. She said, "The man sitting by the fire." I turned to the tent wall, and sure enough, there was a shadow of someone sitting there, shoulders hunched, head down like a person quietly watching the flames. I crawled out again. Both chairs were empty. That was all I needed. I told her we were leaving. She didn't argue. We packed up nothing, just ran. As we reached a tree line, we heard something, a groan, low and human, followed by a loud crack of a branch, snapping. We sprinted through the dark until I hit the car's remote, and the horn finally sounded. We locked ourselves inside the small cabin near the property and didn't sleep until sunrise. When we went back the next morning to grab our stuff, the tent was untouched. But one of the chairs, the one she swore someone had been sitting in, was knocked over. That was the last time I went camping. I've spent years trying to make sense of all of it. Maybe it's coincidence, maybe just bad luck. But sometimes, when I really think about it, about that man at Pumpkinland, about the waving scarecrow, about the empty chair, something else hits me. Every time. It happened in October. Every time, there was someone I almost trusted. Every time, I walked away before they could take me. I don't know what that means. I don't even know if I want to. But lately, I've been noticing things. Again, a car parked across the street longer than it should be. The same brown jacket I thought I'd forgotten about. Sometimes, I wonder if it was never a coincidence at all. Maybe some people just never stop looking for you once they've found you.